wonderful evening. Welcome to Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. Ekpo Temple is my name, and so elated to be part of the show this evening. I'm driving you to the sports scene, all the stories in the last 24 hours. This is that time. We shall roll them out to you. But today on Sports Extraordinary, we'll take a look at how the 4,500 athletes from the 36 states of the Federation with just for medals in 35 sporting disciplines in this year's National Youth Games that gets underway tomorrow. In football, we shall preview 52 goals scored in the first night of this season's Europa League Cup in 16 match venues across Europe, and how Liverpool won their first Europa Cup game after 2,682 days. Just today, Arsenal captain has signed a new 5-year deal to extend his contract and stay, and becomes the club highest paid player. Details of this and many more will be yours in our jiffy.
3 points, win the goal. Goalkeeper missed it. He does a right hand, and down goes Paul straight away. Oh, what a point to end it on. So now, is this winner at the best? Yes, winner in 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to one. What he loved to be immortality as an athlete, 19.79. It's a goal, it's 8 goals.
Short breaker is the Sports Extraordinary here, and of course, joining me this evening to bring you some of the stories that we shall talk about here is Jerry Daniels. A lovely evening to you.
Yes, lovely evening to you, Temple, and lovely evening to our listeners out there. Such a very compact field show today. So just keep it dialogue and stay thrilled with this entertainment.
Certainly, we have so much entertain here, and that's why Michael Emma is also here with us. Emma, lovely evening.
Evening to you. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
All right, quickly, let's start from what is happening. I can tell you for sure that 29 states have arrived at Sabah, the capital of Delta State, for this year's edition of the National Youth Games. It is the seventh edition in the history or the annals of our nation when it comes to sports. And Delta State seems to have prepared massively to host this particular one. 29 states so far reported to have arrived out of 36 and the FCT. You think it's a good turnout as knowing fully well that tomorrow is opening ceremony?
Well, for me, since 29 have arrived and tomorrow is the opening ceremony, we are hoping to see almost every state arrive for the opening ceremony, which is less than 24 hours from now. But it's a very good one. At least majority of the states from Nigeria have arrived and they have been able to put together athletes from different walks of life, because you can't arrive without your athletes being on ground and showcasing them. So very good one. 29 of the states out of the 36 of them have arrived, and it really shows how highly competitive this tournament will turn out to be. So it's a very laudable one. But the others who have not arrived, I don't think are they going to be checked in immediately. But for them, it doesn't spell good of them. It doesn't show how serious they are concerning this tournament. But so good luck to those who have arrived.
Jerry talked about not serious. Sometimes, I mean, logistic problem might just be the reason why some states have not arrived there, Michael, because when you look at, I mean, some states are coming. It takes some states 2 days on the road. Yeah. I mean, likes of Taraba, some states who might be coming from the north, it will take them like 2 days, to get down to the south side. So, I mean, logistic problem could also have been a reason why the lateness of arrival. But one would say, no excuse. If you plan yourself very well, you should have arrived by now, isn't it?
Definitely, I want to say here that logistics is a factor as well, because there are some people that come from a different distance heading to Delta State. I think they need to prepare and get the act right before they come down to Delta State. There are some states also that does not have the financial positive, to be able to book a flight for their contingent as down to Delta State, and you expect them to go through the land, that is by bus. And if you are coming from the north, the distance from the north down to this side is very far. So out of 36 states, 29 have arrived. Left only 7 states to make it. You can say that is a massive turnout from the states so far. So for me, I think logistics and some other factors might be a contributory factor to the reason why some other states, such as 7 states, have not arrived. But for me, generally, I think those teams that have arrived, the states that have arrived, they are showing intent of readiness.
Talking about readiness, once again, can you reiterate that it seems like Delta State are ready when it comes to the preparation, the tracks, the indoor games, the installation of equipment and everything, facility-wise? Do you think that Delta State can give us a top-notch national youth game?
Yes, trying to converge and reconvene every state in your state really shows how ready you are. Because one of those things is you should have the facilities in place, you have the accommodation in place, security-wise, you're formidable. So when you have been able to get through these past hurdles, I think that you're ready with in a high gear at this point in time, because it's not easy to as well assemble all athletes from every state in the federation without all these things on ground. So when you put them on ground, I think this fits you to host competitions and tournaments like this over time.
The games formally will start tomorrow. With the opening ceremony, and we hear that stars, guest artists are already prepared, to storm the city of Asaba in glorious fashion. One thing that comes to mind is medal padding and athlete poaching. These are two scourge, two sporting scourge that might, change the narrative, the positive image that we want to achieve, to get to negativity if it is not looked into. One, cheating, medal padding, and athlete poaching. Let me start with you, Emma. Which of them do you think, or how do you think, or how do you envisage the organizers to go about ensuring that these three nemesis or these three enemies of sports do not come too close to. And four are the doping. Do not come anywhere close to our, states, participants, and even those who are in charge of this particular program.
Well, for me, I think it boils down to the LOC, the local organizing committee, to look into this very one, and I believe they should be ready from now. Listening to the statement of the sport, commissioner in the state, Kowa, who also doubles as the chairman of the LOC a few hours ago, he made reference to all of this, was able to articulate all of this in place about talking about cheating, doping, and the rest of them, and even the silver medals padding as well. These are three key things that we need not to take for granted, because if we are actually taking the statement of the Honorable Commissioner of Sport, Minister of Sport, talking about John Enowa, what he said a few days back, that what we are looking at this very competition is about to unearth talent and also make a provisional way for them to take up the battle of leadership when the time comes for them. So for me, if you want to do medal padding this time around on cheating, whereas we are looking at the bigger picture of being able to recruit all this, to unearth this, raw talent and prepare them, get them ready for the future. So for me, I think these are key factors that they need to put into consideration, that if you cheat in your age, it's going to be detrimental to your own talent as well, because when you should get to the peak where people expect the best of you, we're nowhere to be found. So for me, I think these are some of the things that the LOC will look into, and the organizers as well generally. And personally, I strongly think that if you can be able to look into these three factors, we are going to make a very good outcome.
How do you stop young athletes from because I know the issue of cheating can be handled. The issue of cheating is a collaborative effort of the athletes and the state where they're coming from, because I should be able to know the age that you are of these athletes that I'm going with to this particular program. So I think that will be blamed on the sports ministry or the commission from the state. But that of doping is one key thing that Nigeria in recent time has been tagged negatively because of the doping news thrown from this side. No surprise why you see the Athletics Integrity Unit melting some form of investigation on Toby motion for obviously, which we feel that she will be vindicated. How do we cope cheating doping at this level? How do we know that an athlete cheated dope-wise?
When you look at the frail, when you look at the person's performance concerning the age limit, because someone at the age of 17 cannot perform strength-wise with the age of someone who is 30. When you look at it concerning this competition, when you look at it, there are some performance, some athletes may as well show up, and you will have to have a rethink as a sport body or the LOC, talking about this person's performance. Perhaps you may like to subject this athlete to some scrutiny, some tests, in order to ascertain that this person is from doping. Perhaps if you look at their performance, yes, this person has actually performed creditably well, but this is not what is expected of this person between this age bracket. We're talking about maybe 15, 16, and 17 at most. So perhaps you just need to subject this person to one or two tests, and you make sure that you clear your doubt, and also make sure the athlete is free from what is being alleged. Just like Toby Amusa, who has been entangled in this doping scandal. For me, I really do think that she can get victory, and she may be vindicated from all that have been accused. But most especially, just like the sports minister reiterated, doping is actually cheating, and it doesn't spell good on Nigerian athletes.
Well, for me, I think it's a very simple way to stop doping issue. That if you want to meet up with the standard of the world, at least you have enough that they can partner with the organizers of this very one. I heard a few days ago where they had a symposium. They invited professors from different quarters of our universities, look into the doping issue. So for me, I think if they can be able to partner with the NAFDAC, that will solve the issue. It makes it very simple. Bring some of the equipment which we use, in organizers, and that would be very simple. That would be sorted out, and that would be done during the preliminary stage. I think the issue of doping is not something that we worried about. If you have NAFDAC out there partnering with the organizers, bring in this machine. Anybody that you screen him, doping wise, age wise, and all of this will be put in place. So for me, if we truly want to meet up with the standard of the world, there is need for us to get it right at the grassroots. Because if we don't get it right at the grassroots, this nemesis will continue haunting us in the future.
Of course, I mean, we'll keep our eyes, fixed on happenings from Delta State. As precisely, we are the National Youth Games, the 7th edition of the Games gets underway from tomorrow formally. And of course, we'll be bringing you up-to-date activity of happenings from that side. It will take place from tomorrow down to next week, Saturday, 30th of this month. And of course, trust us here to bring you every bit of event and news popping out from Asaba, Delta State. Away from that, let's bring you some tidbits just to inform you that Max Verstappen has conquered the practice sessions in the Japanese Grand Prix. He won the first one, same in the second one, and of course, tomorrow is the qualifiers. Looks like Max Verstappen is not very happy that Carlos Sainz, did needful in the Singapore Grand Prix last weekend, Jerry.
Yes, Max Verstappen is a very formidable driver, but he's not that really happy because Carlos Sainz has come up to the second place position and is wanting to equal the Red Bull driver. Talking about Max Verstappen, he has been able to as well, though it's a practice session, but he has been able to get the first spot irrespective of the type of competition. This shows you how resilient and competitive, and with the momentum he has been able to gather through this time, I think it will ferry him thus far through the main competition, irrespective of what is happening around Red Bull. Max Verstappen as a person is able to make sure that he has gotten up to this level and at this point in time.
All right, with that now, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll head straight to football news, where we'll take a look at all that played out yesterday in the first game of this season's UEFA Europa Cup and other news, especially as we await a new weekend where football actions across the various leagues in Europe comes on the way.
Went for goal. Goalkeeper missed it. He does it right here, and down goes the ball straight away. Elsewhere, he's a oh, what a point to end it on. So now, is this when you're at the bench? Yes, when you're 12 years for this. So drink it in.
Sports Extraordinary, if you're just joining us, and it's time now to roll over to the world of football, where a lot has truly happened, and reaction has continued to train Nigeria, dropping one place, in the last FIFA rankings that was released yesterday, and a lot of people have reacted that this is not a good news for Nigeria, especially as we hope to, as we prepare for the Africa Cup of Nations, and with the recent draws, the implication is that we are not in the top 5, which implies that we may play against one of the top 5s in the group stages of next year's Africa Cup of Nations that was supposed to be played this year in Ivory Coast. Let me start with you, Jerry. What does this portend for Nigeria, the new rankings from FIFA? 40th from 39th, 40th.
Yes, we have dropped one down. Go up the ladder, but we never went up the ladder after a resounding victory against Sao Tome and Principe, though they were the weaker opponent at that time, but couldn't get up the ladder. And we have found ourselves in the 40th position when it comes to FIFA ranking. So, and also we could face the likes of Egypt or Senegal or Cote d'Ivoire in the top group, in Pot A, when it comes to the AFCON that will be taking place in 2024. So for me, it really spells doom for Nigeria. They need to work hard, extra morale. The victory shouldn't get into their minds, because at this point in time they have dropped and they need to get and gain more steps ahead of the ladder. So for me, I really think Joseph Pesera has a lot more to do with this nascent and young team he has been able to assemble and recover. So much is expected from the Super Eagles, and we're expecting much from them too, as Sports Pundit.
A lot of person feels that the rankings matter so much, even when the African population comes proper. Joseph Pesero has also expressed that part of the reason why he took a pay cut to be with the team is because he wants to win the Africa Cup of Nations. At this point, should we be bothered about the rankings or the fact that any team that comes our way will conquer?
For me, honestly speaking, I think we shouldn't be bothered about the ranking, because the ranking most times doesn't really justify what the nation can do forward. Because we've seen it some time ago when, in France 98, Senegal beat the host country, talking about France, don't go. And as at then, France were way up higher in the rank compared to Senegal. So most times, some of this ranking doesn't really justify, your what you can be able to offer out there. So for me, if we truly are hoping to go to the Nations Cup and we win the Nations Cup, then we must be prepared for whatever. For me, I don't see any country as it stands right now stopping Nigeria. If truly the coach has taken a pay cut and has made it very ostensibly clear that his major purpose is to go out there and lift the Nations Cup. I mean, it's 10 years down the line since Stephen Keshi, Stephen Keshi won the Nations Cup.
2013.
And Nigeria as a nation, is a footballing nation, have not been able to lay their hand on the Nations Cup trophy. So for me, I think this is the time, and the coach has made it very clear that his aim is to go there and win, the Nations Cup. If that is the aim, then we must be ready to meet the best of the best, and that is how we become a champion. So for me, I'm not bothered.
One of the players that will determine Nigeria's success at next year's African Competition is Victor Osimhen.
Yeah.
Coach Jose Santo Pesero has also made it very explicit that he wants to work with him and ensure that he delivers the goals. A man that scored 26 goals in the Italian Serie A, ensuring that Napoli win for the first time a title that have eluded them for 33 years, has been nominated too. So a lot of goodies coming the way of Osimhen. The NFF has also backed him social media-wise, for the award. Whether he wins it or not is a matter for another day. But one thing certain is, can we see Victor Osimhen and other strikers in the team live up to expectation when it matters most? Because this looks like their golden generation in the national team.
Yes, Victor Osimhen is not a mediocre striker. Like, after the wonderful performance by Victor Osimhen in just the last game, talking about Sao Tome and Principe, where he scored a hat-trick, fans anticipated to see in the AFCON a partnership between Victor Osimhen and Taiwo Awoniyi. These are the very, very formidable striking duo who is going to give us the goals in the AFCON. So for me, I really do think that Victor Osimhen will live up to expectation if he partners very well with Taiwo Osimhen, talking about the Nottingham Forest striker. So for me, I really do think that the goals are going to come from Victor Osimhen, and we are able to get the result. Because when you go through the group stages, you have the knockout stages, the quarterfinal, you're going to meet formidable opponent, no matter the level. So you're going to meet formidable opponent. So Victor Osimhen is of that class that will be able to get the result in with Nigeria. He goes in at the back of the net.
And then they're pushing him for the Ballon d'Or. From what NFF is doing, looks like there's no other name. No other name will be justifiable to win the African Best Player of the Year, if not Victor Osimhen. So we're not even talking about that now, because from the level of FIFA recognizing him in the both award, UEFA recognizing him in the Ballon d'Or, and FIFA recognizing him in the FIFA Best, it means that CAF is pressured by virtue of that recognition to allow him win. So are we still going to talk about who becomes the African Best Player of this year?
If Victor Osimhen, if he lifts the AFCON 2024, I think he will be the likely winner of of that award.
So if it does not leave the AFCON,
if it
he
does
cannot
not
win.
leave the AFCON, then the chances are slim.
Slim, with all that he has done, with all these nominations?
Yes, the chances are slim.
Do we have a name that stands tough to contest the African Player of the Year award with Victor Osimhen?
We have, we wouldn't entirely give it to Mohamed Salah, but he's still in the contest. Mohamed Salah is still in the contest. So for me, I really do think that if he leaves the African Cup of Nations come 2024, I think he has been able to lay his right hand with the award.
The award comes before December, and he's saying that if he leaves it, even if it doesn't, even if it comes January, should that be a criteria, knowing fully well what this man has done in the year under review?
Honestly speaking, I think for me, that shouldn't be a criteria for Victor Osimhen winning the AFCON because we've seen what he was able to do last season. He was one of the top strikers in Europe. Talk about the top strikers in Europe. At least cannot mention three names without making reference to Victor. When we talk about Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, the next name that will come into your mind is Victor because of the prolific nature in front of goal. So for me, I think with what he has achieved, last season, his club, and he has continued in that momentum even in this season. 3 games or 3 goals so far. So for me, I think that shouldn't be a criteria. For the Ghanaians as well, they organized their own, Ghanaian football out there, and they even gave it to Victor Osimhen. So for me, I think the NFF is doing the right thing by drumming the
pushing their own.
Yes, blowing the trumpet.
Try to be against at home.
Blow the trumpet. This is why he's quite different when he has to do with the English media.
Agree.
This is where they are very, very good. They know how to polish their
package
own, and sell it to the world, and you'll be forced to accept that
that is the
best. So I think NFF is living up, or whoever is the social media handler of the NFF in the glass house, I think they are doing a good job. And for we as well, as a sport pundit, they always lie on us as well to do our own bidding by trying to protect Victor Osimhen, because I don't think whether he wins the Nations Cup come January or not, I think he still stands in a pole position to lifting to becoming the African footballer.
Certainly, let's see how it all goes. And the one thing certain is, we'll get to count down how the FIFA best players will emerge, the Ballon d'Or winners will emerge, as well as when CAF will come up with the nominations for the African Best Players Award. Away from that now, let's talk about club football. And of course, it's another weekend of interesting, eye-catchy matches yet to be seen in the Bundesliga down to the English Premier League. And of course, when we talk about the Bundesliga, one man comes to your lips for his exploit, even if he has not been coaching for a while now. But just this afternoon, Germany have appointed Julian Nagelsmann as a manager on a contract until July 2024. Just more like a 1-year contract to see how far how far he can cope. I haven't stayed away from managerial activities in the last 1 year. Certainly, I think is a good target or a good recruitment to be part from club football down to national team.
Yes, for me, Julian Nagelsmann is a very, very good coach and a very, very good gaffer. Saw his exploits with Bayern Munich team in which he had to coach and got.
I think it was first of all with RB Leipzig.
Yes, from RB Leipzig up to Bayern Munich, he has done. He has been able to carve a niche for himself. Yeah, Hansi Flick was sacked because of an abysmal performance, though it wasn't a competitive game. But when you talk about the likes of Germany, you're not talking about little or small teams. In between the last, I think Germany and Brazil are the only national teams who have had the most appearances when it comes to World Cup. And a World Cup without Brazil or Germany, so you look at it. So the appointment of Julian Nagelsmann has actually been a timely intervention by the Germany FA so that they can introduce his tactical presence to the team. Remember, he knows German football very, very well, having been coaches in the domestic league. So for me, it's a very good one.
Now, recently they sacked
Hansi Flick,
who was former coach of Bayern Munich, before Nagelsmann took over, and then we also saw Nagelsmann sacked, at some point because he had 10 games, won 5, a run of 5 games that he was unable to win. Same thing with Hansi Flick for his poor performance, the way they were also that in the World Cup. But do you see him as why rotate within the German coaches? I'm thinking that at this point you can go get someone who is not a foreign national, to to come and change the narrative, because more like the same mentality. The German coaches and the German players have just one way mentality, which seems to be the challenge. You need, a lot of pundits argue that you need to bring in, a different coach with a different mentality to come and, rejig the system a little.
Definitely, for me, I think I want to agree with that assertion, because these German coaches that have been rotating over the couple of years now, he has not been able to yield that good result, and that is why they keep sacking and employing new coaches. And if you look at the new coach talking about Nagelsmann, he was in RB Leipzig, a coach that I will not say that is hungry for trophy. He never won any major trophy at RB Leipzig before he moved down to Bayern Munich. Even you and I, who are sport pundits, you get to Bayern Munich with the squad they have at that time and their dominance, you can still win a major trophy with Bayern Munich. So there's nothing different.
Easy?
So for me, I think they should have gotten a foreigner who is quite different, who knows, football in different angles. Because these Germans, they continue to rotate with the German philosophy. And coaching a club side is quite different from coaching a national team side. So for me, I think it's a big mistake. What they should have done, if they truly mean to change the narrative, is to bring a different coach that has a different ideology from the German ideology. And that will go a whole long way to even instill more discipline and respect within his team, because most of them will be familiar with their coaches out there and the culture. So there is nothing different. But if you bring a new coach from different angle and from different country, I think some of these players are going to sit up, because the new tactics, the new philosophy will be instilled into the team, and that will make the difference.
Sorry, just to add to what he has said, but I want to disagree with him a little bit, because when we look at the frame, look at Joachim Low, the coach that lifted the World Cup trophy for Germany. I think he was appointed way back 2006, and he has been with them up until, I can't remember when he left the job, but I think he has been with them for a decade plus. So for me, I really do think that they have a philosophy they don't want to outstretch, they don't want to go outside. That's why they keep recruiting German coach, because they have this philosophy in which they want to keep and they want to stick by. Perhaps it's time to also explore and get a foreigner. But at this point in time, I think they want to just retain the policy and see.
And the German philosophy is not working. Why not try something different if this philosophy is not working?
But we talk about philosophy not working. I think it's also how to do with the managers themselves. Joachim Low, before he came, we saw what the other coach who took them to the World Cup, 2006 World Cup, did with them, and he came 2006 to 2021. He has been there, and then from 2021 he was able to win, yes, the World Cup with them, and after that time, more like the bunch of the golden generation of the German. But one thing about Germany is that they always have they have a way of getting golden generations. Like we mentioned, Brazil, the Germans of this world, France, they do not lack talent when it comes to representation.
Argentina,
so you always have generation of new talent that comes from that side. But then we hope that this managerial, what will you tag as a success? 1 year contract, no time. So what will you see as a target for Julian Nagelsmann?
Is it the Euros? Perhaps that may be the ultimatum given to Julian Nagelsmann to lift. Perhaps the Euros, because when you're looking at the next World Cup, which will take place in 2026, his contract will expire before then. So for me, if he's able to lay hands on the Euros, that would as well give them everything to as well renew his contract for 2026. But if he can't get his hand on the Euros, then the chances are very slim for him to get a contract renewal up until 2026.
Okay, Julian Nagelsmann, we'll keep our finger crossed on that one, and we'll watch him now to see how far he can pay back the confidence of the Federation Board in Germany, having appointed him to lead the German national team, for a period of 1 year. Let's talk about the English Premier League now. Matches will come alive this weekend, at various stadiums and centers in the English Premier League. One game a lot of eyes will be the game that will be played between Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal Football Club. These are North London clubs, and of course we know that when the North Londoners start to play, there is this internal rivalry. In fact, London clubs generally have this rivalry between them. So we look at Arsenal, you look at Tottenham Hotspur, well shaped for massive showdown this weekend.
Yes, the Tottenham Hotspur team headed by Ange Postecoglou is a very, very formidable team. Saw their exploit in the last previous games. For me, I really do think that Arsenal too is there also in a very good shape. So it's just like a clash of titans.
Okay, clash of titans, he said. Michael, more preparation for that one is the fact that Arsenal just renewed the contract of Martin Odegaard for another 5 years. He is 24 as it stands now. He was the only player who played 38 games in the English Premier League for Arsenal last season. And he is the captain, he's a leader. You think that his leadership capacity haven't led Arsenal to title chase last season might be part of the reason why he has been rewarded with this new 4-year deal.
Sure, definitely. Martin Odegaard, great player, I want to say, and nobody that will have such a midfielder in Arsenal and don't want to keep him, and that is why they decided to keep him. Don't forget, he was on loan from Real Madrid, but they saw his performance, and that is why they brought him in and gave him a permanent contract. Having seen what he did last time at the last season, I mean, they think it's necessary for them to reward him from his effort so far, and that is why they handed it over to him 5 years contract. And for me, it's a morale booster for the entire squad of Arsenal heading to heading to Tottenham for that very big prize. So for me, I think it's a plus situation for both Martin Odegaard and Arsenal.
And away from that now, let's bring you all that played out yesterday night in the Europa Cup. And of course, after watching the glorious outing in the elite UEFA Champions League, on Thursdays, one we always hope to see another level of football together. This season's Europa League kicked off with 52 goals scored in 16 match venues. This is dramatic. We talked about how 23 goals were scored in the first night. Yeah. Unfortunately, in the Europa Cup, it's just one night. It's not like 2 nights, you know. All the games are usually played, so you have to look for a way to get to see results from across. But 52 goals seems more like a good start in the new season of the Europa League competition.
Yes, the Europa League is a very, very formidable competition, and we're seeing 52 goals scored in just one night, talking about the first game of all group stages across 16 locations. So we are able to understand that teams have put in their best. The momentum is high in making sure that they qualify into the round of 32 and also make it through the round of 16. So for me, I really do think that it's a very good one, especially a very good start for the likes of Liverpool and also West Ham.
Talking about the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, let's take a look at the teams from the English Premier League and assess it with other teams in other leagues. 3 teams. We saw Brighton and Hove Albion lost their first game to AK Athens. We saw West Ham got a win, came from behind where they also got a win that one. Same with Liverpool, who traveled away from home to Lens. But what's the assessment of the teams representing the English Premier League?
I think for me, the assessment is that some of them, they have done fairly well. Liverpool won their first game. West Ham won their game as well. Just Brighton fall short of winning yesterday. So for me, I think the English club representative or contingent for Europe this season, they have done very well. But this is just the early stage, the preliminary stage yet. It's not yet time for us
to say yes. The group stages.
Yes. It's not yet time for us to say yes. It's an group for the English club. Yeah, and early call. But generally, I think it's a good start.
When you look at the results, look at the group stages. We have seen the teams. Bayern Leverkusen, somehow the Europa League, a lot of people argue deeply that it's stronger than the Champions League because of how far you travel to play a particular game. But if you look at it on paper, do you see any challenger? Look at the league result. The way the Bundesliga team, that is the German teams, the way the Spanish teams, the French teams, and other teams across Europe displayed. Do you think that there is any difficulty, or there will be any difficulty for the English Premier League teams to get at least to the finals?
Yes, just like we have seen Liverpool being able to get a win, despite them trailing 1-0, they've been able to get a win over Linz or away. And when you look at it, most of the results we see are coming, the positive results are coming from the home side. We saw how Panathinaikos defeated Villarreal. We saw how Bayer Leverkusen also defeated their visitors. So when you look at it, Karabakh also defeated Molde. So when you look at this, you're able to understand that when you go to a particular ground, perhaps far from your own home ground, it's somewhat difficult to win, except you put up a fine and spectacular performance. And the funny thing is that I think in your history, you have not even played against this team before, so you don't know how they play, the momentum. You're trying to factor in. We saw something like that in the Champions League, Resta Belgrade against Manchester City. I think that was the first meeting in the history of Manchester City. So you saw how Manchester City trailed at halftime, and they were able to get 3 goals back in order to get the 3 points. So for me, I really do think that, yes, English teams can get the result. Other teams in the top 5 leagues can get the result. But when you go to their home, I think it's a very, very formidable process. You cannot override it just of a sudden.
All right, let's take take in-depth look at the full result of the games in the Europa Cup. Now, Bayern Leverkusen defeated Haken 4-0. Lens also played lost to Liverpool at home. 1-3 it ended. Panathinaikos, as you said, defeated Villarreal 2-0. Karabakh, we are 1-0 better off than Molde. Renault played at 3-0, 3-0 against Maccabi Haifa. And Servette lost at home to Slava Prague. Sheriff Tiraspol also lost at home to FC Roma. Union Saint lost to Toulouse. And Ajax played a 3-3 draw with Marseille. This seems to be Ajax and Marseille are pair teams at the same level, and getting to see 6 goals in that at Amsterdam truly shows that like you said, you don't just take anything for granted.
Yeah, for me, I think there are some couple of teams out there that are ready to, stick out their neck for this very one, to fight to the end. And that is why I say it's too early to begin call that possibly maybe the English clubs or like Liverpool is going to go on the way to 50. Because we have some formidable teams. Marseille, they have been informed this season. Ajax, they have been informed this season. Atlanta also, who knows how to to score the goals, they have been informed this season. Maccabi Tel Aviv, there are so many clubs out there. But that one yesterday between Ajax and Marseille was very spectacular. I had to keep my eyes on that game because it was a very fantastic game that no one could take off his eye from the screen yesterday. And with the rate of goals that they scored, their display yesterday, in fact, was very interesting game. And you may want to think twice if you want to truly give it to Liverpool, because it's an early call to me, because I see what Marseille played yesterday. I was like, wow, why didn't they qualify for the Champions League? So these are teams that you can truly not say, yes, you beat your heart and say you are going to win them. They are tough teams. And for me, I think if they continue with this kind of performance, I see both Ajax and Marseille going far in this competition.
Well, maybe early days one want to argue, but inexperience also played in. We'll come to that. Atlanta, like you said, defeated Rakol Zestochowa 2-0 at home. Brighton and Hove Albion, one of the English team who fought at yesterday, they haven't played in Europe in their history, and they just started, on the back foot, losing that game to AK Athens. Athens, they have experience. They've been part of Europe in the last, more like always representing Greece, no doubt. Yeah. But do you think that this inexperience will continue, or you feel that with the players that they have and with the kind of level of game in the English Premier League, this is just a one-off result? Things will change in the coming days.
Yes, we are likely to see things change. We are optimistic because when you look at the squad of Brighton and Hove Albion headed by Roberto De Serbi, he has been able to assemble a whole lot of talent. We look at the Barcelona boy who just came in talking about Ansu Fati. We're looking at Kaoru Mitoma. We're looking at Ferguson. All these are spectacular players in the domestic league. So, but one funny thing is that the experience of not being in Europe before is lacking. So for me, I really think that when they get themselves together, they will have to gather the. Yes, they lost at home at the Amex Stadium. Yes, they're able to gather the momentum, and they will get the result in subsequent games. So for me, at this bad start, we don't use it to judge them. They will judge their performance. Perhaps when they also go away, they may also get the 3 points and come back home.
Of course, and then Stormgrass lost to Sporting Lisbon. Sporting Lisbon, no doubt, they've been. Their experience in Europe is something that you cannot compare. Sparta Prague defeated Aris Limassol 3-2, and Rangers played at 1-0 against Real Betis. Away from that, now let's talk about the third tier of pro football in Europe, and that is the Europa Conference League, where we saw a representative from the English Premier League, Unai Emery, Aston Villa. They lost yesterday, returning to Europe after 12 years. But their first game, they fell behind in the third minute to Liga Warsaw. So it was more like coming to equalize, but then it was too late. They couldn't get it because Liga Warsaw also have got some experience. And Aston Villa, you think that they can match the prowess of West Ham we saw last season?
Yes, Villa is a very formidable team led by Unai Emery, and when you look at it, it's just that the team from Poland, talking about Liga Warsaw, have had a lot more experience than Aston Villa. Though Aston Villa have left the European scene for 12 years, but we're talking about the Liga Warsaw have been a formidable side, both in the domestic league. So at this point in time, they have the experience. But talking like Brighton and Hove Albion who lost, definitely Aston Villa can as well get the result, perhaps in the Villa Park.
Aston Villa is one of the teams you can see that have won in Europe. You know, they have a cup, a Europa Cup. They've won a cup in Europe. Do you think that Unai Emery is that manager? He understands the lower tier of European football. So do you think he can navigate them to the deep waters and possibly get a win?
Well, for me, definitely, I think he can be able to do that. Unai Emery, we saw what he did in Spain while he was in Spain. We also saw what he did while in Arsenal as well. So I think for me, he has the experience. But what he needs this time around is to be able to bring that wealth of experience to his team, because his team lacked that experience for now. But he's a coach with a great experience because he has traversed through the world of Europe football, and he has all this experience. If he can be able to, impart this experience into these young players who have not tested European football for a quite long time, I think can be able to navigate through this murky water of Europe Football Club. But I stand right now. Last night, I think the Liga Warsaw, they were better in the war yesterday. They took the war to Aston Villa and they possibly conquered Aston Villa. But as it stands, I think Unai Emery can be able to navigate the ship.
Of course, let's see how it all pans out. Match day one in club football in Europe has come and gone, and reaction will continue to three. But while that goes on, I can tell you for sure that league football resumes from tonight in the Bundesliga, League One, as well as the Liga Santander and the Italian Serie A. And then tomorrow and Sunday, certainly it's going to be showdown in the ever-busy English Premier League. We'll keep our eyes at the Thomas Hotspur Stadium, where the guys from the Emirates, Arsenal, will battle to see how far they can go. Haven't played 5 games so far. They haven't lost, just a draw this season. And with the renewal of contracts for the captain of the side, Martin Odegaard, all hopes is alive to see Arsenal contend once again for the title in the English Premier League. Many thanks to my guys in the studio, Emmanuel Michael. It's so lovely to have you in the building. And we have Jerry Daniels, of course, bringing you all the electrifying stories in sports. Ekbo Temple is my name, and we're saying Adedebechi is one game, football without violence.